Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about a psychologist who basically looked at the biggest names in his field and said, "You're all missing the point." He challenged them to champion the uniqueness of, well, you.
So, our story doesn't kick off with some dusty old theory. Nope. It starts with a super awkward meeting. A meeting that would pretty much change personality psychology forever.
Okay, put yourself in this situation. It's 1920, you're just 22 years old, you're in Vienna, and somehow you've managed to land a meeting with, wait for it, Sigmund Freud himself. I mean, the guy. So you get to his office, he welcomes you in, you sit down, and then just silence. Crickets. That sudden gut-wrenching realization that you have absolutely nothing to say to the father of psychoanalysis. So, in a total panic, trying to break that awful silence, this young man, Gordon Allport, he just blurts out a story. He tells Freud about a little boy he saw on the tram on the way over, a kid who was just obsessed with everything being clean, totally afraid of dirt. Allport tells this story, Freud just listens, and then he drops the bomb.
Just pause on that for a second. What does Freud say? He doesn't analyze the boy on the tram. No, he turns it right back on Allport. He basically implies that the whole story isn't about some random kid. It's a confession. It's really about Allport's own unconscious fears.
I mean, can you imagine? Allport was floored. She felt like he'd been completely misunderstood, just boiled down to some textbook case of hidden neuroses. And as he walked out of that office, a question started burning in his mind. Is psychology so busy digging for deep, dark secrets that it's completely missing what's right in front of its nose? Ignoring the obvious stuff people are actually thinking and feeling?
So, who was this guy? Who was this young student who had the guts to question the great Sigmund Freud and suggest a totally different path for psychology? A path that wasn't about our hidden issues or our primal urges, but about what makes each of us, well, us, the whole unique person.
Well, if you look at Allport's childhood, it's almost like he was destined to become a psychologist. Seriously. He grew up in what he called a miniature hospital. His dad was a doctor, so total clinical vibes. His mom was all about cleanliness of thought and strict religious piety. On top of that, he said he was a social isolate, got bullied for being a human dictionary. You can totally see how all of that would make someone turn inward and get fascinated with what makes an individual tick, right? So that really awkward meeting with Freud, it lit a fire under him. Big time. Think about this timeline. He starts at Harvard in 1915. Just a few years later, in 1924, he's teaching the very first psychology of personality course in the entire country. And by 1939, bam, he's the president of the American Psychological Association. His rise was just meteoric.
So you take this unique upbringing, you add that game-changing encounter with Freud, and it all leads him to one huge central idea. He basically said, hey, psychology, we're so obsessed with finding these grand universal laws that apply to everyone that we've totally forgotten to look at the actual person sitting right in front of us.
Here's how he put it, and I love this. He said, look, you can't just put a label like stubborn on someone and call it a day. My stubbornness is completely different from your stubbornness. Why? Because maybe my stubbornness is all tangled up with my sense of humor and my loyalty. But maybe your stubbornness is connected to your artistic vision and your independence. See? It's not the single trait that matters, it's the unique mix, the whole recipe, that makes you who you are.
And this right here, this is the core of his big fight with psychology. At the time, pretty much everyone was doing what's called nomothetic science. Big word, simple idea. You study thousands of people to find the general laws of human nature. Allport, he was pushing for something else, something he called morphogenic. Another big word, but again, simple idea. Instead of studying the crowd, you study one person in depth to understand their unique personal structure. It's a total flip of the script.
And this led him to warn his colleagues about something he called particularism. It's basically theoretical tunnel vision. It's when a theory gets so focused on one single piece of the puzzle that it misses the whole picture. So a Freudian might try to explain you only through your deep-seated childhood conflicts. A behaviorist might try to explain you only through your learned behaviors. Allport said, guys, you're getting a slice, but you're missing the whole pie. You're missing the person.
Okay, and this all builds up to what I think is his most important legacy. It's this powerful warning that honestly is maybe even more relevant for us today than it was for the psychologists back then.
He said we should never forget what we have decided to neglect. Just let that sink in for a moment. What an idea. Every time we try to explain something, every theory we create, every label we stick on someone, we are making a choice. We're choosing what to pay attention to, which means we're also choosing what to ignore. Allport saw his field rushing to be scientific, creating these neat, tidy, testable theories. And in that rush, he believed psychology was making a huge mistake. It was deciding to neglect all the messy stuff, the contradictions, the complexity, the very things that actually make us human. For him, it was way better to have a theory that tried to capture the whole, complicated person, even if it wasn't perfectly testable, than a narrow one that missed the point entirely.
And that's his final challenge, not just for psychologists, but for every single one of us. The next time you're trying to figure someone out, a friend, a family member, a coworker, even yourself, just stop and ask that question. What have I decided to neglect? What parts of their story or my own story am I choosing to leave out just to make things simpler? It's a powerful thought to end on.